Coming up on this edition of Carolina Insider, a debate erupts about the fate of education over at the State House.
They want their children to be taught ABCs, not CRT.
And back on campus, students have their own discussions about civil rights with a notable social justice advocate. But coming up first, the men's basketball team scores their newest edition. Carolina Insider starts now. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Chloe Mungo. Our top story today, Athletics Director Ray Tanner and Gamecock men's basketball fans are hopeful they just scored the next slam dunk. According to the state newspaper, Lamont Paris will be the next head coach after signing a 5-year deal that will be approved later this week by the Board of Trustees. For Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks, they have punched their ticket to the team's 9th straight Sweet 16. After 2 big wins at home, the team will now travel to Greensboro, North Carolina to face number 5 seed UNC. The Gamecocks will be led by Aaliyah Boston as her streak of double-doubles expands to 26. From Colonial Life Arena over to Capstone, where a prominent civil rights attorney is coming to speak. Here with that story in today's Cocky Spotlight is Chloe Barlow. Chloe.
Thanks, Chloe. Renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump will be on campus tomorrow to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the African American Studies program here at U of SC. He'll be discussing his advocacy work with university professors at an event called Seeking Accountability in the Pursuit of Justice. Crump gained national recognition in 2012 after representing the family of Trayvon Martin. He has since worked on numerous high-profile cases involving police killings of black men in America. In 2021, he was even named one of Time 100's most influential people of the year. The event will be hosted by Professor Dina Isom, who talked to Carolina Inside about why she chose Crump as her guest speaker.
Yeah. Of course, he's at the heart of the George Floyd Act for police reform, but also very central to the voter suppression issues with the John Lewis Act that's going through right now, and just all the things.
Crump will be in room 101 in the Capstone building from 7 to 8 tomorrow night. The event is open to the public, but space is limited. You can register online at Eventbrite. Back to you, Chloe.
Thanks, Chloe. Today is day 3 of confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson. She spent more than 12 hours answering questions on Capitol Hill yesterday. She faced criticism from several Republican senators, including South Carolina's own Lindsey Graham. According to the New York Post, Senator Graham walked out of the room angry about Jackson's stance on the release of detainees from Guantanamo Bay. Republicans also questioned Jackson's stance on crime and critical race theory. As Carolina Insider's Courtney McClain reports, that same issue is getting a lot of attention in South Carolina's State House.
They want their children to be taught ABCs, not CRT. And that is what drove me to create this legislation.
Representative R.J. Mays, sponsor of House Bill 4799, working with over 12 other senators and representatives, has pushed South Carolina into the race of critical race theory legislation. South Carolina's lone ACLU policy fellow and Columbia graduate spoke last week at the CRT hearing and is explaining why he believes this legislation has become so increasingly popular.
This is symptomatic of a larger culture war. This is folks who are afraid of their whiteness losing its power, losing its status.
One of the biggest targets in this legislation is the 1619 Project, which a U of SC professor, Woody Holden, states that he teaches in his class.
I teach at USC, and I signed this book, the 1619 Project, in class this semester, along with some of the critics, the ones who got the correction that you mentioned, corrected in the book version. That produced the best discussion I have ever had in 20 years of teaching.
South Carolina joins over 20 states in America in which these bills have been introduced or passed, and the biggest question still remains, what exactly is critical race theory?
It defines critical race theory.
But that's not a definition. But anyway.
After 3 hearings on this legislation in the House of Representatives, lawmakers still haven't settled on a definition or shown signs that any of these bills will move on to the Senate. Finally today, the University of South Carolina is gearing up for Relay for Life's main event. The fundraiser supports the American Cancer Society. It begins at 5 p.m. Friday and goes overnight until 5 a.m. Saturday at the Blattfield. This is the first time USC has been able to host an overnight Relay for Life event in 3 years due to the pandemic. You can visit their website to join a team or donate to help them reach their goal. That's it for this edition of Carolina Insider, a student production here in the Kennedy Greenhouse studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here next Wednesday.